different communities and try to help to alleviate crime, poverty, and all these things. And that's the reason why we are pleased to be Global Peace Ambassadors.
Wow, that's good. I will start with Reverend, then we come to you because you have said he's not said anything. I normally will say Pastor. That's how I need to. I always tell you I will come for prayers.
That's right. That's right.
I have a friend, you know. The man was preaching and praying for him. The next thing they opened their eyes, he was not there. I will preach for half an hour, shouting.
That's right.
The man was gone. He called me outside and I said, "No, go back." He said, "No, no, no." Oh God, praise God. Pastor, almost every country, I mean Ghana, we have natural resources, a lot of natural resources. Yesterday we are one of the poorest country, you know, in the world. So, despite our natural resources, we are still struggling as peace ambassadors, going around, in particular Africa. I know you have some here, but going around in Africa, and this poverty is still there. How do you know, are you making any difference? Or it's just like a face value to say we are there to bring changes for the poor and things like that?
Yeah, I know we are making changes, yes, because we are mediators. So wherever we go, not in Africa alone, we try to at least settle the difference, bring peace. But one thing I've seen in Africa is they don't want to develop their mind, I would say their memory. Now,
link it to Ghana as well.
Link it
where
to
you
Ghana,
are from.
where I'm from.
Because those watching may want to know.
Yes, because in Ghana, I know that they have two strong political parties. And if you are not NDC, you are MPP. But people doesn't want to listen to the new policies because people can form their party today and try to bring new policy, but we are not looking on that field. And even when we go to the educational field in some of our universities, some of the syllabus even doesn't matter now, but they are still doing it. I remember I used to work as heating engineer, and one time we went to the house to work, and there was a lady who hold, I think it's Masters of PhD of heating, building, or engineering. And while we are working, this lady was so rude to us. And later on, she heard me talking about boiler. And she came back and said, is it what you call boiler? And I said, yeah, this is boiler. And she asked me, how does it work? And I started teaching her that, yes, this is a system boiler. We have separate heating, separate hot water. And this lady was standing there and said, wow, this is what I study in tech for my master's, but I've never even touched one before.
Wow.
We believe books, but there's no practical.
Yes.
So in Africa, one thing we need is we need training.
Hands-on.
Hands-on, because I always say something that is a bit rude. But if the president or the ministers is listening, this is the key factor. Let's see cocoa. Ghana, cocoa is our #1 cash crop. Yes, since we were born in the time of memorial. But the farmers still carry cocoa in their head. And I haven't seen any minister who is thinking ahead that now, let's even giving them trolling so that they can save some of their strength. But that same old system is going around. Meanwhile, when the grants or anything come, the money will share on the high-profile people in Accra. It doesn't go to the hands of farmers. And when things like this happen, how can the country develop?
So you, as a peace ambassador, you are in the country. What do? Because you go there, do you go there to kind of support us?
We only advise.
Yes.
And those who have ears should listen. But sometimes because they don't want to hear the truth, they don't want you to come close to them.
United Nations has been in Ghana for how long?
Many years.
Many years.
But are you making any difference? Let's hear.
Yes, we are making difference. We are making difference in different countries. It might not be. You start small first, and increase. The onus is on the people to receive whatever we are trying to give them or teach them. As Ambassador Atta says, education is very important. The scripture says, without knowledge, the people perish. There's a lot of persons who do not even know their rights in a country. They don't know what...
Do you tell them? When you are there, for instance, as peace ambassadors, or global, you call it diplomacy, global peace ambassadors. Now, if you are in Ghana or in Nigeria, do you tell the people that, listen, things are not right? This is how things supposed to be. Or you just there, if they listen to you, they listen. If they don't listen, they...
Mr. Kula, you only advise. You can't go to somebody's
country and run
and
it.
tell the person around it.
That's right.
But like you are reading...
But if you see that whatever you are giving him is not reaping any benefit, then what is your role there then?
Well, there will always be benefit. There will always be benefit. There's always somebody that will change, or persons that will change. Persons that will gravitate and take whatever they need, because everybody wants better for themselves and also for their family. So we don't go and run things. The UN has a mandate. We as NGOs, we have a mandate to follow. There's a limit that we can and cannot do. We cannot override certain things. We don't get involved in politics.
Okay.
You know, we don't get involved in politics, but in charity work and try to alleviate poverty and try to build on education.
Directly or indirectly, they bring you into politics.
Well, our main focus is to educate people.
That's it.
And what do we do with education? We try to better ourselves, try to find a way to advance. Just like in Jamaica. Yes, Jamaica is a good country, but I did not see myself advancing in Jamaica the way I want to advance. There's a lot of persons who have to leave their country to be better.
Yeah, but we're talking about the natural resources we come down. Now, over 1957, we are not reaping anything from our natural resources. We have United Nations there, UNICEF, all of them in our country. And you have a lot of NGOs there. And we're not seeing anything. We should, if I was the government, I would ban you guys from there, because I would say, help, you're not doing anything.
Well, maybe that is the thing. The government responsibility. so we can't dictate to the government.
Reflection, have you reflected on
every government that is a part of the United Nations? They know what to do, because the United Nations make sure that all countries are aware of their mandate. This is trying to prevent escalation of wars and all of these things. But when it comes on to a country's natural resources, the government, who is the people, should be the people. And this is one of the things that I realize has changed over the years. Persons don't know who the government is. The government is not the prime minister. It's not it's the people that is the government. The people that have a voice. But because of lack of knowledge, the people don't understand or know the voice that they have. Their freedom of speech. In some countries, they want to cut out freedom of speech. But the government is the people elect the government. So the people should voice their opinion. And one of the problems that we find in countries is that people are die-hearted to parties.
That's it.
And this is what is holding back a lot of countries from moving forward. Party instead of issues. My grandfather was a die-hearted whatever side, whether red, yellow, blue.
Ghana, they said their whole family is either NDC, MPP,
right,
and nothing will change them, even if they dying in hunger.
And that is it. And that is what they're calling down hunger upon themselves. So in other words, they're not thinking positive, because when people vote on issues, not party, then those who are put in power will be able to say, hey, we have a job to do. But because they know the people are not voting on issues, the same thing keep recurring over and over and over. So they're held back. So the people are the real cause why governments are not doing what they are doing. But if they start to say, look here, a long time I was in this party, but this party is not doing anything, I vote for another party. Based on issues, not just party. Issues is the problem. Because if you don't speak about poverty in your country, not being able to use up your natural resources, countries coming in, taking your natural resources, and then buying back. You have natural thing and they're buying back false things. It makes sense. But every country have natural resources that they can develop and become better. But the people have to stand up, the people have to voice their opinion and let the government know that, look here, if you care for us and the country, let's move forward, not just about party, but about issues.
Yeah, you made a good point. You have something to say with that, Pastor?
I agree with what Bishop is saying, because last week we are in Vienna, and we went to the shop. Now they were advertised to us that they have the best chocolate. And with that chocolate, when you get a handful of your hand, it's almost 20 euros. And I told them that no, it's Ghana who had the best one. They said, no, you guys give us a cocoa and we develop it. But how come that we cannot even have our own cocoa factory in Ghana, chocolate factory? But people are rather taking the money here.
So, based on what you are saying, and based on what His Excellency was saying, then therefore, NGOs cannot help to bring about any serious economic growth and development if Africans are there thinking that, oh, you know, we have NGOs there, because a lot of people say it. You know, I heard a lot of people, and they have a lot of faith and confidence in NGOs. Is this a misconception that when people have this idea that, oh, NGOs are here, with the belief that because their presence, they are there, they are the ones who are going to make changes and bring.
We empower them. As NGOs, we empower them. We empower the people to look at themselves, how they can be better. What our main focus is that we have to stay within the mandate of the United Nations, and that is to create international peace and security, progress of different countries, education, and to name a few, to encourage them to have a better standard of living. So we have organizations all over the world that will help to alleviate poverty and so forth, to empower people to look in themselves and say, yes, I can do better. Also to encourage those who are not even NGOs, but are willing to move into other countries and to assist and to help. You know, we are all our brother's keeper. You know, and that is one of the things that even the church need to understand, that it's not just about going to church, lifting up holy hands and worshiping the Lord, but also to give to the poor and the needy, and to help to encourage and to strengthen those, so that we can have a better society, we can have a better community.
And Mr. Kula, like, I'll chip in what His Excellency is saying, like the church that he is talking about. When we talk about church is for the community. But when we see our people, like maybe Ghana, the church rather follow the politics, while the church has to bring eternity. Even when we go through the church law, like canon law, even when a politician is coming, they have to come and ask permission from the church. But now they don't do, but the church rather go to them. And even telling people that I was the one who prophesied for this man. When you prophesy for that man, maybe he's power for only 8 years, only 4 years, or sometime they died. But you who carry the eternal power, they have to come to you. Yes, we are there as peace ambassadors. We have audacity to speak with presidents, ministers, other embassies. But the fact is, it takes them whether they will take it or not. Because when you come and give us our mandate.
My question is, I'm not cutting you.
Yes, sir.
But my question is, if you look at Ghana, Ghana, for instance, became the 119th country in the world to ratify the Disability Rights Convention, the landmark international treaty that mandates the protection and promotion of human rights for more than 1 billion people with disabilities worldwide. More than 5 million people live with disability in Ghana. And Ghana, according to this treaty, they receive free medical care, everything. We are not practicing that. We say it here on paper.
Right.
My question is that if United Nations find out that these things are not happening, did they turn a blind eye? They can't continue saying, then there's no point them coming to our country, because the government is not doing what they have to do. The disability people, they're still crying. They don't have money for our NHIS. They're supposed to get it free. They're not getting it. So then, the use of using the United Nations Treaty and then to telling them that, oh, you have a right. We have a human right. We have this convention right, or United Nations, but this practice is not happening. Then where, as a country, it's like we are giving false hope for the vulnerable people.
Bakula, let me ask you this question. Maybe when somebody stands for the post and he promised that for the next year, I'll make sure that everybody will become rich. Or I'll build some factories here in order for everybody
One district, one factory.
One district, one factory.
1 million, one constituency,
one dam.
One dam.
And when the person
every constituency.
And when the person is not fulfilled that mandate, can you do something against him? The answer is no. They just have sweet talks. So it is us who has to think, because yes, they got the funding from maybe United Nations. They went back and present to them with their account. Oh, now there's no disability in Ghana. They are the overseers there. But the fact is, God is the judge. When you come and say that return, oh, now there's nobody crawling on the road, there's nobody there. Yes, they will believe you and give you another chance. But it takes the government and the people in that nation to rise up and do something about it.
Yeah.
So what you basically saying is that the power is with the citizens.
That's
The people.
Yes.
You see, gone are the days when persons just sit down and take just anything from the government. People need to wake up and understand that if they are voting for somebody, we're not getting into the politics. If they are voted for somebody to run their country or their constituency, and they make a promise, if they have not fulfilled it, vote them out, get them out, because they are not utilizing whatever is given to them to make the community or the country better. And this is why I said persons need to vote on issues and not just party. And this is what is all. So people are holding back themselves because they are diehard this or diehard that, whatever. No, you can't be diehard. You must be up to change. If you want to advance in life, you must be up to change. That's very important. You must be up to change. And if you don't up to change, you're going to stay in the same condition, and history repeat itself. You fall back into where you're coming from. But in order to move forward, you have to be up to change. It's just like a person migrating. Why migrate? Because you need change.
Yes. And do you think that migration has helped you in Canada?
Migration has helped me a whole lot in Canada.
So where do you practice your United Nations in terms of your ambassador role? Where do you do it? You do it in Canada?
Not just Canada, but in Jamaica, all over the world, wherever I've been sent. So I've been educating pastors around the world, because as Ambassador Atta said before, pastors is not just to pastor a church, but there are so many things in the law that the church need to know, pastors need to know. It's not just to take a mic and preach. The church has a lot of power, a lot of authority. But because governments recognize that churches, leaders don't know the power they have. That's why the governments all over the world, they are doing whatever they need to do, because if you don't know a thing, they're not going to tell you. And you don't know how you can move forward. So the church is very important in every country. There are laws and bylaws that govern the church, but a lot of pastors even refuse to be taught or to learn, because everybody want to see themselves more highly than they ought to. But humility is a key. For you to know, you have to humble yourself. And then the Lord, as the scripture says, will exalt you. So my mandate is to educate the body of Christ. Let them know what it is, what the church stands for. And this is why I'm glad that I'm a part of SICA and WALMI, because this we are NGOs and we teach people, we encourage people all over the world to know what it is. So we teach diploma and diplomacy, protocol and diplomacy to leaders all over the world, so they know what the power the church has, what the church can do, both in where the church stands, in other words, in the world.
Is the church fulfilling its purpose in the 21st century?
Some. Some. I won't say all. And this is the reason why I want everybody to know where they stand. Because once the church know, they can pass it on to their members. Members pass it on to the community, and so forth. So the church have a lot of power, but pastors have to learn. Education never stops.
But can today's pastors be trusted? Because are
Some.
they there for the money, or are they there to make difference?
Some.
And how do the congregation know that they are doing the right thing?
Well, the scripture says, study to show yourself approved. If you are going to the church, you don't just take what the pastor says, but you have to study for yourself, read for yourself, so you can know whether the pastor is doing garbage or the pastor is following God. Because not every pastor, not every leader is following God. Some churches are there just to collect money, but there are those of us who are there to win souls for the kingdom of heaven.
Do you have a church?
Yes.
Something asking to ask you. So you have your own church. What is your church called?
Tabernacle of God Worship Center.
And it's where? In Jamaica?
In Canada.
In Canada.
In the UK, of which Pastor Atta is one of the affiliates in the UK.
Oh, okay.
There are others in the UK, United States, and Jamaica. And, we are there to empower.
Okay. So within all these things, when you make your money, I'm just going to be asking questions.
That's all right.
When the church make money, where does it go?
The church make money, it goes to do, well, I can't discuss everything early here, but it goes to make sure that bills are paid, persons are fed.
Who are
the church is there for the community.
Or in Jamaica or in Canada?
The community, there are persons coming to church that are hungry.
Okay.
Persons that are homeless. Persons that have no food, clothes, or shelter. So we try to provide for them. That is the main purpose of the church, not just to collect money, but to serve. And that's why we are called to be servants, not to be rich. The church is not there as a business.
So when you was appointed, what was actually your role in the United Nations?
My role is, as I had said before, is to educate. So educate other pastors and to train them, and to under the SICA and WALMI, we help other persons in the church that have not been able to afford the expense of other universities. There are some persons who have sent their children to school and to universities, but they themselves weren't able to afford it. So we offer affordable education where ministers, church members, anybody can attain their degrees.
Do Ghanaians benefit from this?
Oh, yes.
Just in Jamaica?
No, all over the world. All over the world.
And he's also sorry. And
where
he's
in
also
Ghana do you provide this service?
He's also a representative for peace ambassadors in Vienna, Austria.
Yeah. So we move all over, United States, here in the UK, the Caribbean.
Okay, you mentioned something. I will ask you: is peace mediation? Is that what you was appointed for in terms of mediation role?
Yes, every peace ambassador has been trained in management and mediation, negotiations. negotiation, every day there's a negotiation. When you're talking to your son or you're talking to your daughter, you're reasoning, you're still negotiating. You know, on the job you have to negotiate. And so negotiation takes effect in every area, on every aspect. Now there are those negotiation which involves countries and companies and corporations and estate and all of these things. So we have been trained, should the case or should the I would say the opportunity arises, we are able to step in and if we are called.
Is there, you know, your role? What does the United Nations have to do with politics, with religion? You know, in terms of you being a Christian. So do they also have like Muslims that do the same thing that you're doing? And as Christian, is there a difference between mediation, counseling, negotiation, and religion? Because we Africans, we know that church is a way of tricking us as well. So is this the part or the ploy of United Nations?
And Mr. Kula, one thing is, I think when I was reading His Excellency profile, I mentioned that he's a chaplain as well.
Yeah.
And you know, when you talk about chaplain, you go beyond pastoral and you go beyond even bishop, because you do what other people are not doing. You work with different religious leaders. So now, when we go to United Nations as peace ambassadors, we cannot go and stand at the side of maybe Islam. We can be there for them. But if they are there, they will do their job. If they are not there, then we have to act. Because it's all about knowledge. I am a hospital chaplain, aside international chaplain. But when I go to hospital, my function might be different because I'm going to work with other religious leaders. Jewish are there, Muslims, Shinto, Krishna, and all these people.
So your role there, when you go to hospital, is it for the sick or?
It's not for the sick. As a chaplain, I do all kinds of activities.
Tell us some of them.
We do worship.
With
We
who?
pray, worship with the patient and the staffs.
Oh, okay.
And when they need counseling, they come to us. And also, when the patient, especially when they are dying, we call that one palliative care or end of life care. You know, sometimes when people are dying, they request their wish that you can maybe read Psalm 23 for me.
Okay.
When they know that the time is approaching, as a chaplain, you go there and do their wish. Then some of them, their end of life, they wish that they can do their wedding before they die. And we are there for all those things. And also, we do burial as well.
Do they get married? Do people marry them? Yeah, wedding too.
Oh, yes. Yes. When they are dying, they can do anything.
Is that their partners or they get someone to
sometimes they are partners, and sometimes when the fact is, we don't know what these people have, the mindset behind it. Because sometimes when people are dying, they can say that my long-term partner, I want to marry him or her. And we don't know whether they want the person to take the property or anything. But sometimes we do it for people and it work. Example is, there was one lady whom they gave him like 2 weeks to live. And that lady last wish is she wants her partner, long-term partner, to marry her before she died. We arranged the marriage wedding. After that wedding, we thought that this person would go within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, she was there. 1 month, she was there. After 6 weeks, the doctor discharged her. And they thought that she was going home to die. But when we are blessing that marriage, this lady said one thing, that now my heart, I have fulfilled my heart desire.
Yes.
And now that I'm talking to you, so about 5 years, this lady is alive. And she's not even in bed. Because Bible makes us understand that where your heart is, there your treasure,
will be.
That means this lady was struggling for not getting that marriage. She's still alive and now she's cancer free. She do everything, and recently we heard that she has even given birth for a new baby. So when you understand the consequences of the work of God and where you are standing, miracle is easy. We are United Nations ambassadors, yes. We cannot say that we can do all things. We pray for the nation. We advise ministers. We advise embassies.
War, and rumors of war, fear, and all these
We
things.
pray for all. Maybe sometimes
Yes.
spiritually we do things behind the scene. And sometimes when we have chance, we advise those who are in front lines as well. And that is our. I've been to army, and I was trained on that field as well.
Okay.
So I understand some of the protocols.
Yes.
But sometimes we cannot just come out to say it.
So like things happening, I mean, in other parts of Africa, even the Israel, Gaza war in terms of Palestine, the Palestinians, is something that has been going on. United Nations
For
has
years.
been there for
Nothing.
long.
You see, what's wrong with the world? What's wrong with the world is not the guns, it's not the bombs, it's not the chemical warfare, it's not the knife. What's wrong with the world is lack of love.
That's it.
Because there's no love, greed take over, hatred, bad mind, envy. And this is what is happening why the world is messed up as it is. And as chaplains, ambassadors, and also international chaplains, we have to, one, be neutral. Two, we have to be trained in different areas so that we can be able to create change. So our chaplains are trained in different areas of counseling, also theology, you name it. We have pastoral care, clinical psychology, and narcotic counseling. So we are rounded, and we want leaders to be rounded. Because if you don't know what to do and you're placed in a position, you'll mess up.
You mess up. That's it.
And so, and it will be a chain effect. So I encourage leaders all over the world to be trained and be willing to be trained.
When you say leaders, are you meaning?
Church leaders, political leaders, you name it.
But every church have their aim. Some pastors, they just want to make money. So no matter what training you give them,
And
the church
that's true. That's true. There are some pastors that you see, it's not every pastor was called to be a pastor. Some pastors just take on a name pastor because they want to be highlighted. They want to seem important, but God did not place them there. And you see it by the fruit of the Spirit, the fruit. And that's why the Bible said, try, if you want to know that these belong to God, try the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit. Some don't have any love. They only preach the word, but you can't talk to them. Some are envious. So the fruit of the Spirit, once it's not there, they're not of God. Because leaders of God have a mandate to follow.
How do you measure the influence and effectiveness of your humanitarian intervention and advocacy efforts in places like Africa? How do you measure it? Knowing what is going on?
There are United Nations bases all around the world. In Geneva, in New York, in Vienna, and in Africa. Now, where Africa is concerned, I cannot give the exact account there because I'm not, that's not my region.
We want you to be there for 2 weeks in the village. And you want you to be there for 2 weeks in the village. This while I have to sign it for you. Spend with the mosquitoes and everything there, so you will see, you will feel it yourself.
Mr. Kula, but African one is great.
I tell you, it's even Jamaica, another Caribbean island, they experience the same thing as Africa. They're going through the same turmoil, they're going through the same needs not being met by leaders. And this is where we come in now to educate persons, because a lot of them are doing what they don't even know. They are put in position that they don't even know what to do. And because of that now, it's causing a rippling effect on the economy, a strain on the economy. So everybody wants to leave that country to be better. And then there are some governments which put blockade on persons leaving, say it is brain drain. But if I go to university and study to be a doctor, or whatever field I study, and there's no provision when I finish university, I'm going to move to a country that provide access for me to develop my skills, right? So that I can be a better person. I can impart back to others. And this is where governments need to understand that if they don't provide jobs and they only speak it, but they don't provide jobs, then the country will be held back, and then crime increase, violence increase, poverty increase, and all of these things. Because guess what? A lot of persons right now who have education don't even have a job. Some driving taxi, some selling Sky Juice, and they have degrees. But and there are companies now all over the world, even including where I live in Canada. There are companies that they don't utilize educated people. And when I check and see, I realize that persons that are in positions, they are not educated. And companies stifle because of that. So you have persons working in warehouses, working in other areas that are well educated, and coming from countries that they have worked in bigger companies, Fortune 500 companies that can make the company even better. But there are those in management and so forth that they're not educated, they're not at that level. So they fight against those who are more educated. All of these things happen in every country.
Saying that education, is it because you are also a chancellor? At what university were you doing?
Saika International University.
Where is that?
That's in United States.
Okay.
Bases in the United States. We have our own university, Tabernacle of God Worship Center Association. We have lots more that I'm involved with, but I can't stop studying, because guess what?
Do you do any recreation activities?
Yes, I do.
What do you do? Because the time in studying, maybe marking papers and all this,
Well, I still, I used to surprisingly, I used to do track and field. But yeah, I used to do track and field. When people know, but sometimes they say, boy, you put on so much weight, but they say, the Bible says you shall be fat and flourishing.
Yes.
So,
back home they will say it's a sign of good living.
It's good living. I must say, I try to. Sometime in my spare time, I will, meet with my friends. I will sit down. We eat. We put on a pot, and we stick with people who motivate.
Yes.
Motivate me. And one thing I want to say to people, whether you're in a rural area, you're in a poverty situation, you can come out. You have to tell yourself that I can do all things. Yes. You have to have a focus. Where do I want to see myself 5 years' time? And move towards it. Speak to yourself. They say mad people speak to themselves. No. If you don't speak to yourself, you won't make a move. Okay. You remain in the same condition that you are in. So I speak to myself and say, look here, I look at somebody and say, I would like to be like that person or even better. And then I try to find ways to assist me or stick with persons. They have a saying that if you stick with the wise, you become wiser. Yes. So I try to stick with a lot of older persons so I can learn some wisdom.
You stick to the wise, you become wiser.
Wiser.
So people who go into relationship, they should stick and look for a wise partner rather than is that what it's like?
Well,
is it part of your role, or is this one?
Yes, I do marriage counseling too, and I normally tell persons that if a boy and girl cannot get married, it takes mature people to get married. And what is happening is that people take marriage lightly. They see somebody like them, they just want to marry them. And
but in this country, that is if you go along that line, it's against the law. So I would say.
Well, that is good.
Yeah,
and that is good. And it's not every pastor or every leader. I hope some pastors are here and some bishops and whatever. Is not every pastor is a counselor.
Yes.
A lot of pastors want counseling themselves.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why so many things happen in the body of Christ, which cause persons not to want to come to church or to serve the Lord, because there are pastors that, one, they have never been to the cross. Going to university and getting a degree does not end there. It does not say that you're a pastor. If you get a bachelor's or a master's in theology, that don't say you're a pastor. You have to be born again.
My one is accountability and transparency.
That's right.
As an ambassador, do you see that? You know, with us in Africa and other places, do you feel that this is something that is holding the people, that is not making us progress? Because my view is that a lot of people are starving.
All over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world. All over the
But I
world.
think Africa one is situated. This is why I said that you need to go on a mission and go there.
You need to go to Africa.
I don't know who I need to write to at the United Nations to send you to Africa. I mean, places like Ghana, now go to the North, Navrongo, those areas, you know. Then you stay there for a month. When you come back, you'll be different.
Mr. Kula, I think what you are saying, it will be different, but it's poor leadership, because Ghana is not a poor country, as you are saying.
Ghana is a rich country.
And at the end of the day, I mean, you keep saying that false pastors, false prophets. But let me also clarify this. There's false leaders as well, false politicians and false chiefs.
What is United Nations? We're using your act.
This is not United Nations issue. No,
human rights law is all.
No, but when you are talking about pastors, you need to state that false pastors, which yes, we know that some of them, but we have false chiefs, and we have to address that one as well, and also false politicians, because they come to politics, they put their money in politics, and at the end of the day, they want to get more profits.
So how do you see our progress? I mean, looking at accountability and transparency.
It needs to start from there.
Us, for example, as a Ghanaian, as an African, how do you see our progress? You know, we're not seen anything since the independence. And to me, United Nations, do we take them to court to say that they are the part of the problem in our countries?
Well, you see, it boils down back to the people. The people are the government. They don't teach these things in school anymore, or universities. The people, the government.
You said something. They're not teaching things in schools and universities anymore.
Right.
Why? What is happening? Tell me.
It all boils down to
history.
to the government, the leaders. When I look over certain things, I realize that every country have a national anthem.
That's it.
And that anthem was placed there for a purpose, to motivate the people, to let people see where they are coming from and where they have reached. But those leaders, most of them are dead.
That's it.
And the new leaders that take over, they don't pay attention to these national anthems.
The voices, the nation.
Their main aim and focus is to go in there and to reap,
That's it.
to make money for themselves. Some of them don't even take care of their family. It's all about them, themselves. So the country suffers.
And they are women.
And they're women. And a matter of fact, a lot of leaders are the ones who are guilty of a lot of stuff. And blame it on the people. But the people need to wake up and understand that, look here, if I put you in power and you make a promise and you don't keep a promise, vote you out. Get somebody else who have a vision. And this what is holding back a lot of countries, that there are persons in there too long. Persons in there are 5 term, 6 term, 10 term, and they have no vision.
40 years.
40 years and they don't have no more vision. So when I study and I do the best I can to make an impact on the country, there's a blockage. So the people are held back. Young people with gifted minds, with skills have been held back. And this is why a lot of them seek to migrate to other countries to be better off. And some do succeed. Some do succeed. And even when they come back to give to their country, there's still a blockage.
many people are saying that the international financial institutions, and this goes back, years back, you know, like the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, they force indebted African states to reduce public expenditure. Like Ghana, recently we went to IMF and they're giving conditionalities of that law. But many commentators are saying this is what is encouraging NGOs, is flourishing, like is making more NGOs around, because the numbers are increasing across Africa. The question is, if it's good, why are they not operating in the West? And they are in Africa, everywhere. Everywhere you go, NGOs. In Ghana, everywhere. And they're using this to abuse the system.
No, well, not all of them.
Not all of them.
Some
NGOs
of them
can.
work, yeah.
There might be some, but not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
We have a mandate that we have to carry out, and the United Nations oversees everything. They know when you don't think they know, and they take account. They do speak to governments of every country regarding these things. So the onus, as I said, is on the people to stand up and to have a voice, because one of the mandate is for freedom of speech. They care about humanity. Persons have the right to voice their opinion. Persons have the right to their day of worship. All of these things, but it is corporations that are in countries. Corporations that are in countries that are not carrying out the mandate of the United Nations or even the government of the country. There's a lot of corporations and businesses that have employed persons and are not carrying out the mandate. And this is where even I wouldn't put all the blame on the government too, but on corporations that have employed persons. You understand? They are not carrying out the function or the statement of the company. They just do whatever they want to do. They have persons that are in position, supervisors, managers, that are not carrying out the mandate of the. And matter of fact, they don't even know the statement of the company. Some CEOs don't even know what's happening because they are up there, but the persons that they have employed are doing a lot of stuff like racism and all these things that the United Nations is against. You understand? So persons are there gratifying themselves, but not looking out for others. The co-workers or other workers below them. And this is what is causing a lot of companies to become stagnant, a lot of companies to become bankrupt. It's because of bad management style. I believe that leaders, CEOs of companies must look within the companies and see persons that are educated, persons that can move the company forward, create more jobs, more opportunity, so that other persons can be better, society can be better, the country can be better.
One goes to one
Sorry.
country, for instance, we are Ghanaians, so we talk about Ghana. Before they go there, do you think that these ambassadors, advocates, or others that go there in terms of supporting the country with their diplomacy and all that, do they have a training to train you to have a better knowledge of the country in terms of their experiences, their challenges, their strength, their weakness and all that?
Yes. In our diplomatic and protocol training, we pay emphasis on different countries.
Okay.
You have to, before you can enter a country or go to a country, it's very important to know what the country stands for, what their laws and bylaws are. What to do, what not to do as an ambassador, because every country is different. And you cannot enter a country and do what you do in UK, you're going to do that in Canada, or you do that in the United States. No, every country is different. There are certain things, there are certain quotations, certain things that is right here, but it looks right doing it, but you have to know about that country first, because you might just get yourself in trouble doing the same thing. So it's very important, and we at SICA and WALMI We train diplomats around the world and let them know what it is to be a peace ambassador, what it is to be an ambassador, because it's not everybody, as I said before, knows what to do, when to do, how to do. So you cannot do the job if you're not trained.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend before, and me and him were discussing, and I came to the conclusion that NGOs, you get criticized for your focus in terms of your technical solutions to, for instance, poverty, instead of the underlying issues. So, for instance, an NGO might help to provide water tanks for the poor without addressing the power imbalances that resulted in some having water while others don't. So, for instance, in Ghana, an MP wants to win votes. So his constituency, he will try as much the areas that he feels they will vote for him, do things for them. Their rules can be done and everything, and the others do not. This is a power imbalance. But I think that Africans will benefit, in my own understanding, from the use of United Nations peace ambassadors if they also show interest to help bring changes for us. If not, to us, it's just a dead end.
We have peace ambassadors in Ghana, in Africa, all over. Some take up different responsibility to educate women and children. You know that there's a lot of rapes going on in different countries, abuse, women that have been abused, men that have been abused too.
Yes.
And we have different departments that addresses different aspects of society. And they have moved into countries and are doing their work, their charity works, and trying to create change. But as I said before, we can only do so much. The onus is on leaders and persons in the community to step up and to say, we appreciate this and we appreciate what we have been taught, and use it. Use what they have been taught, And I would say to everybody, try to learn more and to get more understanding. Leaders, training never stops. Every day, there's something to learn. We are living in a university. The world is a university. Every day there's something to learn, and we need to use what we have. Especially you mentioned about natural resources in Ghana. Every country have a natural resources, but what do we do with the natural resources? Do we give away all the natural resources to other countries and let our country suffer? No. It's about time that governments start to play an interest in their own country. And stop allow other countries to dictate to them what to do with their natural resources. Because if every leader say, look here, we have sugar, we have banana, we have gola, we have that. Invest in your own country, make your country better. Why make other countries better and taking out all the natural resources and cause your people to suffer? You're not a good leader. A good leader is one who stand up for the people, who empower the people.
Well, the United Nations are saying, I believe they read the newspapers. They know what is going on. This is why I ask you in the country. They are there. Okay. I want to find out, is it free service or there's a stranger charge? Because aid is not free. And all these services they are giving to Africa, is it free? It's not.
It can be free.
So you come at a cost.
Yes.
To us.
Everything
is it by force or by the countries willing to say, United Nations is coming to our country, we have to pay for all this. So if they allocate 200 people to our country, we're never going to come out of our debts. We even build it because every hour is becoming expensive for poor Africans.
NGOs do a lot of volunteer work, mostly volunteer work.
Volunteer so no pay. It's not attached, but others may be attached.
Others might be attached. But we do volunteer work, and this is because we have a love for people. Where there's no love, there's hatred, there's war, there's
So
crime.
how do you get funding?
A lot of us get through charity works, donations, persons donating to benefit other. So there must be a purpose, there must be a plan what to do. And
So some businesses may invest in the United Nations to say that, you know, I'm giving you money, you bring them there, and they also promote my business for me.
well, I don't know. I won't touch that. I don't know. I don't touch it what I don't know.
You know, we're running out of time. I want to say something. That you are a marriage counselor. How do you see the future of marriage? Because now you're a marriage counselor. You know, how do you see it? Is it for young people growing up? Because now
You have to know.
their parents are not able to sustain, their grandparents are not even able to live with each other, let alone their parents and then to them. So where do we go? 21st century.
Marriage is a very important step. Unless you see yourself with the person for the next, say, 25, 30
Well, how are you going to see yourself?
Well, you see, you can't just, persons cannot just say, I love you and get married. There must be a reason why you get married. And a lot of persons that just want to know, to show a ring and say, hey, I'm married. It's more than that. And that's why every leader, especially spiritual leaders, need to be trained. Because it goes back to what I said before. It's not every pastor is a counselor. And this is the reason they might have a marriage license, but they don't know to counsel. And this is why there's such a large number of divorces in the ministry, in the church, all over the world. Because pastors just have a license to marry people and they're just counting the numbers of many persons they get married. But they're not counselors, they're not trained counselors. Because when you counsel persons, you give them the opportunity to say, should we get married? Are we ready to get married? Are we at the place to get married? They don't look at that. They look at how many, putting a church brother and a church sister together and say, yes, we have so many couples in the church. That's not it. You have to put yourself in the position and say, look here, man, be real. So look here, if you're not willing to make the person happy, don't mess up the person's life. Stay on the same bus and continue traveling. Not because there's some attraction. Can we live together? We're coming from two different backgrounds.
The thing is, a man see a woman, they want an attractive woman. So therefore, they have to, if the person is not nice, I don't think a lot of people look at you first to be attracted to before they go to the next stage and the next stage. So that attraction you can't take care of.
They just rush it. And marriage is not a rush. You have to take time to know the person. You see, acquaintances are getting married, but friends are not getting married. You have to be friends.
You can't keep African women, because within 1 year they want you to marry them. So what you are saying, and I believe in the Caribbean is the same.
You see, with wisdom is, and this is the reason why persons need to be counseled. Because a lot of persons marry for different reasons. They want papers, they want documents, they want riches, they just want, but they don't have a desire to be with the person. So you're right, and that's why counseling is very important. And as a trained counselor, you can tell if the persons are ready to get married, and you can tell what the aim is.
To be rich in Africa, that's what they do there.
That's right. So a trained counselor can identify different things when they counsel people. And that's why a lot of people run from counseling. They just go to the courthouse and just get married.
I think my side, I would say that Pastor, you say you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I think what I would say is, like His Excellency is saying, marriage is not a rush, and even pastoral is not on one way. Not every pastor is a counselor. Even when you do theology, there's so many dimensions. So don't think that because I have people with me, that means I can do it. No. There's a pastors that are very good on even buried people. Yes, it's another calling. Pastors that are good for counseling. And others that are good for the community. So if you don't even have like congregation and you have all this kind of gift, you have to polish it. Because His Excellency have so many things when it comes to theology. He is not one-way pastor or one-way bishop. Let me come on that. So when you are operating on any other field, then you can have a knowledge of that. Because one of bishop saw me at the hospital with one Hindu man. And said, what are you doing with this guy? These people are carrying defense with their career. I said, no, he's my workmate. I said, no, if he is still your workmate, but you don't have to get close to them because they lack knowledge. We need to let them know that, yes, there's a diversity of gifts by different spirits. And we have to be on different diversities. Africa, everybody is a prophet. But God doesn't give prophecy to everyone. If you're evangelist, polish it. If you're a pastor, polish it. Or any gift that you have to polish it. And even if you're a prime minister, you are not out of school.
So how is this helping 21st century?
It is.
It is. But the fact is they put their mind on one thing. And always they listen to the voice of the multitude. But sometimes you don't need the voice of the multitude. You need only the voice of God.
Okay. So,
Leaders, prime ministers, presidents, some of the problem is they have advisors who don't have no vision,
That's it.
not trained. They're just there for the position and the money.
That's it.
Advisors who are not trained. They are just there for the position and the money. A lot of them don't even know what they are doing. Some can't read and write. Some don't know nothing at all. It's just who know who. Get them in the position.
The time may come in. Even when you look at United Kingdom, Parliament will never take a decision without House of Lords or Archbishop of Canterbury. And even the King Charles will never take a decision without taking the clergies out. No, they are in. But in Africa, the prime minister or the president will call the pastor that he loves. He knows that man is not even qualified to give the nation advice.
That's right.
But they rather call that person to come and give false advice, false prophecies. Meanwhile, we have people on top that can even give the good advice. Tell the vision that now this is the way we have to go.
That's
and
right.
they don't want it that way.
but then, what you see? So therefore, the United Nations knows the problems, but they're not solving it.
No.
They're not helping Africa to solve it.
No,
They're just taking the money and run.
no, it's not the United Nations that the onus is upon. It's upon the leaders of every
Once you
country.
are in our land, it's like in this country, we help to build. The same thing, everyone who goes there have to help. If they can't help to build, then we don't need them there.
No, but without they say the mandate of the United Nations is not to dictate to any government. They have made an outline what each country should do of all the countries in order to alleviate wars and to maintain peace. The onus is upon the leaders of every country to follow the mandate.
Yeah.
If leaders are not following the mandate, then the country suffers.
That's it.
Okay. I'm
Because one thing about United Nations is when they are making voting, one country, one vote. In as much as United USA is big, they have one vote. And even when you go to the smallest country in the world, they also have one vote. So when
it's fairness.
It's fairness because one country, one vote. And when they try to help you and you yourself, you are not helping yourself. They can't do anything for you.
Okay.
A lot of people don't want to be helped.
They don't want to be helped.
A lot of people are comfortable in their
But
condition.
I will give you assignment because I know that you interview a lot of ministers. Ask them first, what have you done before you even continue? But don't let them come and talk what they talking to attract. No. What have you done with that 4 years? I believe it to be a good question for them.
How long you work for United Nations? You see, I'm telling you.
No, you are telling it to him. No,
yes.
you need to tell.
We start
Come on to this one first. Yeah, well, tell you, but you need to.
Well, I let the people speak for themselves.
That's it.
Because that have been. But what he's saying is serious.
Yeah,
Because
you need to ask them.
a lot of leaders will just talk, but They have not done nothing.
Anyway, thank you. We thank you very much for coming, His Excellency Randolph Henry, and also Reverend His Excellency Pastor Atabedu. Thank you both for coming.
It was a pleasure.
What would be your last word? I mean, the issue about marriage is very important to me because it affects everyone in the world.
Yeah.
That's right.
But the problem is that young people are growing up these days with their grandparents, great-grandparents separated, grandparents separated, parents separated, and they themselves, they don't have a lead, somebody to lead them, to guide them. I think that I have come to the realization that on reflection of this program, that United Nations need to do more, and they need to also let us know, lay people know that aid is it free or not, and if not, and they're not doing services that we can do ourselves, then we have to stand. We are using the United Nations Act, and it's not helping us. But all I can say is that a lot of Africans will quote the Act. We have one that, to me, at the moment on with a disability, where the Ghana NHIS, National Health Insurance Scheme, they are entitled for a free medical care.
Wow.
And it's written there, quoting United Nations Act and the support. But these people are not getting there. They go to hospital, they have to go and beg for money to go and get medicine. So they go to hospital, they don't have money, they send them away. Some even they don't want them to enter there because of the nature of their disability. Equal rights is not there. And we want United Nations, if they're going to go to countries like Ghana, we want them to do what they said they're going to do. And make sure the laws in the country, as far as United Nations is concerned, is working. This is what we're asking. We're not asking for more. And as far as the marriage is concerned, I feel that there should be education system, part of education, helping us to learn how to live with each other. I think if we learn how to live with each other, yes, that will help. Because a lot of people, they can't even live with as a family. If you go, their siblings are fighting, parents are fighting each other, grandparents are fighting, community are fighting. How can they live in one room? How can they live in one house? They won't, because we are not learning to live with each other. So these are some of the things to me. I want you to take it back and then talk about it, that this is what we want as Ghanaians, as Africa, and the world. I think we will all benefit from it.
And this is where the church comes in. If you are given to a church or a ministry and they are not doing their job, because one of the roles of the church is not just to preach the word, but to counsel. And if you are going to a church that does not provide counseling and all these things, you need to seek counseling.
But what about those who don't go to church?
So those who don't go to church, they seek counseling the same way.
From where?
There are persons who are to church.
That's
the reason why. That's the reason why.
You see, this is what
remember.
Situation is, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
no,
they have to pay, but remember.
Where are they gonna get money?
But remember. No, there are persons who will help or will counsel for free.
All I'm saying
remember, some
advocate for us. Advocate that this will be part of education establishment for any young people growing up, and even in universities. So that people will learn how to live with each other.
What will
there will
the people
be more
do?
peace around the world.
The question: what are the people doing?
What people you asking?
Like the statement you just made, that we need to advocate for this, but at the same time, what is the people doing? Because if the people don't stand up and voice to their government, to their leaders, nothing will still be done. Because remember, the government runs the country, not the UN run the country for the people.
I understand that.
So we
can. UN has been in our life for
the UN,
over the years.
But the UN can only the mandate or whatever. They do not govern the country. They not run the country. It is your government that the people need to speak to.
There are certain things I couldn't talk with you. because I know
Yeah, that's
that
something
you
we cannot touch.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
So
we
the
want,
people.
I think the next person we want is the general secretary. So that we will be able to talk about more. So anyway, thank you. What is your last word, please?
All right. My last word is this. Education is paramount. Very important for people to move forward, for a country to move forward, for everyone to move forward. Education is the key. And in every area of your life, I would say walk with people that will pull you up. Stick with people that will motivate you. Persons that will push you forward. It does not just take money. It takes a commitment. Speak to yourself. I want to be better than I am now. So the life that we are living now, the condition that we are in is not our final destination. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. You have to strive. If you don't strive, you won't go anywhere. You end back where you're coming from.
Thank you.
So sometimes a backward look will give you a forward strive.
Thank you. Reverend Pastor Atabadu.
I know His Excellency has said it all. Yeah, I also say that training is very important because, like he was saying, he said that education is our environment, what we are seeing. So sometimes you are not even sitting under classroom, but anything that you are good at, you have to develop it. Don't sit back and say that it is too late. Maybe yours one is by using your hands to create something. Keep doing it. And I even urge government to help those people. Now, like Ghana, we see people that are carrying things on their head. Kayayu, this thing has been there for long. The only difference between Africa and Europe is you don't see white people carry things on their head. But the moment you land to Africa, you see people are carrying it. We know that, yes, this is where we used to think. And when people is working on this sun, carry this thing on his head. To be honest, that person can never be normal. And this is a basic thing that we have to help people act. It's not poverty, it's like lack of training. Because instead of even them carry it on their head, they can even put it on their back.
No, it depends on what you are carrying.
Mr. Kula, why white people doesn't do that? No, the fact is
you have become British. So
but the fact is,
getting the things
but they have to do something about it.
In Ghana
I saw they have to do something. They can do it.
I saw something where some persons were walking with a donkey.
Yeah.
And both of them lift up the donkey instead of putting the load on the donkey.
Yes.
It takes education.
Yes, I will take your time. We thank both of you so much.
Thank you
for the opportunity.
Yes, and coming here and tell your church to watch us. So when you go, let them watch us here. Omega TV UK, #1 TV station in the UK.
Nice.
Thank you for coming, Pastor You, and also we thank you, and we also thank our producer, CEO Joe Bedu, and also Sister Dansoa. And we also have Sharon here, Sharon Asante, and also we also have a visitor, which I'm sorry, I don't know the name, but thank you all, and God bless you.
God bless
Wherever you are, good night. United Nations, they are there to stay. But however, we will only allow them to stay if they help us to develop our country. Yes.
Thank you.
They have a right to free independent legal advice. Aduko Solicitors is authorized to provide free independent legal advice at police stations in England and Wales. So anytime you're taken to the police station, remember to say that your solicitors are Aduko Solicitors.
Are you in the UK and in need of immigration help? Do you require expert legal representation to regularize your stay or renew your existing leave to remain? Do you require advice or representation regarding a personal injury or criminal matter? If the answer is yes, then you do not need to look any further. Aduko Solicitors is here to provide you with all the expert legal advice and representation you require.
be it immigration, criminal law, appeal against conviction or appeal against sentence, family law, personal injury, civil litigation, employment law, or housing law. Eduku Solicitors is your trusted one-stop legal services provider with expert solicitors and caseworkers on standby to assist. Our police station emergency number is 07792 459 339. You can also call Eduku Solicitors on 0207 183 1479. You can locate Eduku Solicitors at 662 Old Kent Road, London, SE15 1JF.